Good morning, second English students. Now we will continue this book, Indian mythology, and actually we stopped this point, page 94. We stopped. So the point is, Devas and Asuras are creatures. They are superior to human beings, and actually they exist. The idea is, in the universe there are powerful creatures than human beings. So that is the main idea, and the scientists also believe it. But there are possibilities. They say that modern scientists say that there are possibilities in it, and there is huge chance in it. Okay, that's what they say, but they are unable to contact with those creatures. And now in Hinduism, definitely in the universe there must be creatures called Devas and Asuras. And the next important point is that Devas is not always, Devas do not always have morality. Likewise, Asuras always do not have evil qualities. They also, Asuras also morally good, and some Devas also do not have morality. Okay, so this is the main idea here. And but their appearance, their behavior, by their just because by their appearance and their behavior, it seems Asuras don't have a kind of self-disciplined behavior. Okay, and we simply brand them thus evil, and so that it is they took the advantage of Devas took advantage of this situation. Human beings like beauty, and they want a disciplined one, and Devas they have a kind of beauty, but Asuras by nature they have the appearance, but that appearance is not liked by human beings. Okay, and Devas took advantage of this, and then okay, Devas are Asuras are evil, and we are beautiful and we are disciplined, you worship us. Likewise, they made. Okay, and actually it is not made by Devas. We human beings ourselves think in that way, and Devas, okay, if you worship me, okay, it is good for me. Likewise, Devas thought so, and that's how we believe that Asuras are evil and Devas are good people, and we have to worship them. It is not like that, and they are not actually God, or they are not creators. They are one form of creation, one form of creatures. Okay, so this is the reality, and so the nature is another problem is that the nature itself, it is their nature, it is Asuras' nature to fight with Devas, and it is Devas' nature to fight with Asuras. Okay, let me say Devas in Tamil we call it as Devargal, Vinnulaga Devargal. Okay, and Asuras in Tamil we say as Asurargal. Okay, it is believed that they harm a human being, but that is not a real thing, and it is believed that Devas will protect human being. That is also not true. We Hindus should understand this fact. Okay, they are not God. They are not all powerful God. They are not almighty, and similarly, the Asuras are evil form. That is also not true, and since they are powerful than human beings, it is better to worship them. Okay, it is good even to worship. It is better to worship Asuras as well as Devas. There is nothing wrong in it. Okay, when you worship them, okay, see, I worshipped you on the day I worshipped you, and So there may be there are possibilities of showing kindness to us. That's all. Okay, and it is the nature that it is the nature in the character that Devas don't like Asuras and Asuras don't like Devas. But it doesn't mean that they are morally good. Asura is also morally good. Devas is also morally good. That is not so. Both these creatures are morally good and as well as evil. See, Naga helps in fertility. Okay, in farmland, snakes snakes kill rats, and as rats are killed, there is a huge improvement or increment in production. Okay, if rats continue to eat all the grains and there is poor production in the farmland, okay, விளைச்சல் ரொம்ப கம்மியாயிடும். So we cannot satisfy the need of we cannot eradicate poverty. If we want to improve our production in the farmland, then rats must be killed, rats and mouse must be killed. So snakes are essential. Okay, so snakes kill rats and there is increment in production. So therefore, in order to express our gratitude to those snakes, we have to worship them. Okay, and again these snakes are eaten by eagle. Okay, when there is increase increase in rat population, snakes control rat population. When there is increase in snake population, eagle control snake population. Okay, and when there is increase in eagle population, we human beings ourselves will kill eagle. Okay, and if human population is increased, nature itself will kill human beings. So this is Darwin's theory, and that's what Hinduism also say. Okay, so let's say when we want to improve our production in food grain, snakes are essential, and therefore there is nothing wrong in worshipping serpents. And eagle is vehicle of Vishnu. Okay, and Vishnu is preserver of God of preserver, and we have to worship them also. At the same time, we have to worship snakes also. So we need to worship both, but snakes and eagle are enemies. Okay, so this is a problem here, and it is the nature for eagle to kill snakes, and snakes also do not like eagle. Okay, but both we need help of both the eagle and snakes. Okay, so that is the human situation. See, even Ramayanam, Rama is also not morally good. Okay, see, today we say he simply deserted Sita. Just because people say Sita cannot live with Rama, just because people say and he simply deserted Sita, and now we say that it is wrong. Morally, what Rama did is wrong. Okay, and several times Rama violated Dharma. Okay. Similarly, if you take Ravana character is morally good. Okay, so Ravana is good from his point of view. Rama is good from his point of view. Okay, so actually, who is morally good or evil? Both the characters, Ravana and Rama, both the characters are morally good. That is the truth. That is the reality. Okay, both Rama and Ravana are morally good. That is what given in this book, and that is the reality also. My opinion, everyone says that The Ravana character is also good. Okay, and okay, I'm going to digress from this point and see in this book also Indian mythology, Duryodhana character is also good, Ravana character is also good. Likewise, they glorify, and many people also glorify Duryodhana character and Ravana character. But what is my opinion is that Duryodhana character and Ravana character is not morally good. It is not fair. They are actually villains. That is my opinion. And okay, no need to write it, but I want you to know these things. Okay, why do I say this? How do I say this? That is, you cannot abduct a girl without her consent. So this is the point. This is my point. You cannot abduct a girl without her consent. Without the permission of Sita, Ravana abducted her. Okay. So this act cannot be justified. See, Ravana is married to a girl and Sita is married to Rama, and let's say if Sita gives permission, okay, so what my husband is wrong, let me come with you, okay. If a girl gives the consent, then there is nothing wrong in it, okay. Whatever the situation may be, it cannot be justified. Abduction of Ravana's abduction of Sita cannot be justified. Okay, let's say for Tamilians, Ravana is a hero. Especially for Tamilians, Ravana cannot be portrayed as a villain. Likewise, Tamilians say, and Ravana Kavyam, where Ravana is glorified and he is a hero and he is portrayed as a tragic hero. Okay, many Tamil literature glorified the Ravana character, but I do not know how far are they going to justify this particular act, that is abduction of Sita. And does he, did he do it with her permission? That is my question. Okay. Similarly, Duryodhana's character, and see, if a girl wants to, or if a girl wants to be naked in public, then it is her right. Okay. Yes, I want to show my body to the public. Let all people see my body. If this is the wish of a girl, then it is okay. But even if she is your slave or whatever it may be, even if the girl is your slave, and you cannot strip her without her permission. Okay, if it is in the room, whether the girl is other boy's husband or not, it doesn't matter. You can see her naked only with her permission. Okay, and so I mean, then this is the thing. When this is dharma, then Duryodhana, I mean, of course, he did not with his hand, but he ordered to do so. Okay, so it cannot be justified. Duryodhana ordered that Draupadi Panchali should be stripped in public. That cannot be justified. Okay, so therefore, in my point of view, they are actually villains. Okay, so whatever the thing, even those time and today also, without her, without the girl's consent, her permission, the boy cannot take advantage of it. Okay, the girl, if at all, yes, I like you, I love you, and let me have sex with you. She will show some indications. The boy should understand it. I mean, let's say whether the girl is other boy's husband or not, other man's husband or not, that we will discuss. We will have a separate topic whether extramarital affair is right or wrong. That is a separate topic. But whatever it may be, unanimously, all of us should understand that with the girl's consent only, the boy can touch her. Okay, so this point all of us should understand, and whole society in future also this dharma, this law should be followed by everyone. Okay, so this is my point of view. I just want to share with you. But in the book, Rama is also equally morally good as well as evil. Ravana also is morally good and evil. Okay, so it is the nature, it is their nature, it is Ravana's nature to fight with Rama. Okay, like this, there are various creatures, they always fight each other. Okay, and see, what is personified in Ramayanam is that Ravana is king of jungle. If Ravana becomes the king, people had to lead the life in a jungle. Okay, but Rama is king of civilization. Okay, and I mean, for the example is not given in the book, but I myself give you the give the example, the difference to explain you the difference between life in city and life in forest. Okay, there are many advantages when we live in city as well as disadvantages, and advantages when we live in forest, advantages and disadvantages when we live in forest. Let's say now we face the problem of overpopulation and pollution. Okay, and because of colonization, because of the Europeans colonization, they enforced us that all of us should live in city. City life is the best way of life. Do not live in forest. Okay, destroy the forest and construct a city, and we can live happily. This is the principle of civilization. Okay, destroying the forest, cutting down all the trees in the forest is essential to lead a civilized life. Cut down all the forest and make it a farmland, or construct a company, make it as an industry. And this is example of civilized life. And civilized life is essential for happy life and peace of mind. Okay, when this is the thing, when we destroy forest, then naturally we don't have oxygen to breathe. We cannot have water to drink. However, we are civilized, we can lead a civilized life. I may have a cell phone or a fan, water I may have, but we do not have water to drink and oxygen to breathe. Naturally, we all will die. For that, we need forest. So it is better to live in forest. Okay, so whatever the population may be, 2,000 crores or 3,000 or even 10,000, provided all should live in forest. Then population explosion is not at all a problem for human beings. The problem is only when we destroy forest. Okay, so now see, all the scientists say we should not pollute air, we should not pollute water. Then vehicle pollution is the main pollution. It is for whatever the pollution may be, water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution, whatever the pollution may be, vehicle is the main reason. Okay, if we stop using vehicle, then there is no pollution, and if we stop using electricity, then all the pollution are stopped. If we don't electricity, then we have to live in forest. We have to hunt animals and eat fruits and vegetables, what is there in the forest. Okay, actually if we think there is nothing wrong in it. The problem is we do not have a comfortable life. Definitely we may not have a comfortable life in forest, but actually that is good for humanity. Okay, so there is nothing wrong for some people to live in forest, and at the same time there is nothing wrong for people to live in city. Okay, both are equally good. But we say காட்டுமிராண்டிங்க, காட்டுவாசிங்க, pygmies, and uncivilized people. Likewise, we brand them, but actually that is wrong. We cannot brand them. That is one style of living, that's all. Just because they live in forest and they are half naked, it doesn't mean that they are foolish people and uncivilized people. Making such statement is wrong. Okay, so Ravana is a kind of leading life in jungle. Okay, in forest, the forest has its own rules and regulations, and we have to follow it. Okay, in forest, survival of the fittest is wrong and is correct, and dharma is least bothered in forest. Okay, so when this is the situation, and Vedas and Rama emphasize that forest living is harmful for humanity. That's what Rama makes, and Vedas also claim it. But today we say that it is not like that. Okay, so therefore today we have to acknowledge that Ravana is also good and Rama is also good. And so Rama, the fight, the battle between Rama and Ravana is nothing but the battle between forest life and civilized life. Okay, and that's how we have to understand Ramayana. And see, both ghost and humans are living creatures. Okay, next point is both humans and ghosts are living creatures. And Christianity says that ghost should be driven away. Ghost should be driven away. But Hinduism says that ghost should be tamed. That's all. It cannot be driven away and it cannot be destroyed. It is good that ghost should be tamed. Okay. And ghosts do not like human beings. They always try to harm us. They always disturb us. So when this is the case, it is the nature of the ghost to do so. Therefore, it is better we should tame those ghosts. Okay, moving to the next topic, creation with a difference. Okay, creation with a difference. So actually, Jasna said that in Bible it is given God is self-created. But in this book, under this topic, creation with a difference, in Bible there is no creation, there is no explanation about creation of God. Okay, in this book it is given. So how God is created, whether he is self-created or not, in Bible it is not given. So how Yahweh, Y-A-H-W-E-H, how Yahweh is came into being, such kind of explanation is not given in the Bible. And Yahweh, that is God the Almighty, he is there and he created the universe. That's what given in the Bible. And Christians should believe that he is there and he created the universe, and he created the universe with perfection. Okay, Christians should believe that God created the universe with full perfection. There is not even a single embellish, some kind of error in the beauty, in aesthetics. He created the world with full perfect. And since Adam and Eve disobeyed God, imperfections are created. Okay, since Adam and Eve, the first human beings, they disobeyed God, imperfections are created. Imperfections are created not by God but by Adam and Eve. Okay, so but in Hinduism we have lots of versions of creation. Okay, there is no a single concept of creation. We have lots of versions of creation that we will discuss in next video by today itself. Thank you.